Good morning, people of God. Today we are back for another daily devotion by Pastor Tyrone Wheeler. And today's topic is message in a bottle. The Bible verse for this topic is John 12, verse 3. It says, Then Mary took a pinch of pure nard, an expensive perfume. She poured it on Jesus' feet and wiped his feet with her hair, and the house was filled with the fragrance of the perfume. This scene in John 12 is unforgettable. Jesus is in Bethany, guided by home of his dear friends Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, the very man he raised from the dead. A dinner is being served in his honor. Martha, true to form, is busy serving. Lazarus, once wrapped in grave clothes, now reclines on the table as living proof of Jesus' power. And then Mary steps forward with an act that would shock everyone present. She takes a pinch of pure nard, costly perfume valued at nearly a year's wage, and poured it on Jesus' feet. Then, in complete humility, she wipes his feet with her hair. Instantly, the fragrance of a sacred fills the entire room. What Mary did was not simply an act of generosity. It was an act of devotion, worship, and prophecy. A message in a bottle that speaks across centuries. Nard was rare and incredibly expensive. Imported from the Himalayas. Most likely, this bottle was Mary's most valuable possession, perhaps even a family heirloom or a dowry for marriage. To break it open and pour it on Jesus was an act of extravagant surrender. She wasn't saving any for herself, she gave it all. In Jewish traditions, anointing was a sign of honor and consecration. Kings, prophets, and priests were anointed to signify their calling. By pouring oil on Jesus, Mary was declaring that she believed about him. He was the Messiah, the Anointed One. When others debated his identity, she proclaimed it with action. Mary's action was also a profound act of worship. She didn't care about social rules. In that culture, it was scandalous for a woman to let down her hair in public, let alone wipe it on a man's feet. Yet, her love for Jesus outweighed public's opinion. She wasn't concerned with looking proper. She wanted to give him her best. This is true worship. Romans 12:1 says, Offer your body as a living sacrifice, only a pleasing to God. This is your true and proper worship. Worship is not just what we sing on Sundays. It's what we pour out daily, our lives given back to Him. Mary's bottle of perfume became an offering, her message to Jesus. You're worth everything I have. John notes that the fragrance filled the house. Worship never stays private. When we pour our devotion to Jesus, others are affected. Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 2:15 that, For we are to God the pleasing aroma of Christ, among those who are being saved and those who are perishing. A life surrendered to Jesus leaves a fragrance that testifies to His worth. But notice that not everyone appreciates it. Judas immediately complained, calling her act a waste. There will always be critics who cannot understand sacrificial devotions. To them, it seems foolish. Yet Jesus defended Mary, saying, Leave her alone. She has done a beautiful thing to me. What the world calls waste, Jesus calls worship. Mary's perfume was a message. What's yours? For some, it may be time, energy, or resource offered in service. For others, it may be a song, a prayer, or act of kindness given in secret. Whatever we pour out in the love for Jesus becomes a fragrance that honors Him. Think of the widow in Luke 21:1-4, who dropped 2 small coins into the temple treasury. Others gave out wealth, but she gave out poverty. Jesus said she gave me more than the rest because she offered all she had. Her message, like Mary's, was one of complete trust and devotions. Friends, worship is not measured by how much we keep, but by how much we give. The question is, are we holding back? And Mary acts force us to examine our priorities. Do we give Jesus what is convenient, or do we give him what is costly? Are we more concerned with what people think of us, of what it deserves? True devotion always costs something. David understood this when he said, I will not sacrifice to the Lord my God burnt offerings that cost me nothing. Perhaps your battle is your time, your career, your finances, or even your story of brokenness. In God's hands, nothing offered is wasted. Like Mary's perfume, what you pour out in faith will leave a lasting fragrance of His glory. So, this story is a very familiar story. It talks about Mary Magdalene. After Jesus raised Lazarus from the dead, she washed his feet with a really expensive perfume that back in the day was like really expensive, either passed down from generation to generation or bought for like a wedding dowry. This act was an act of faith and declaration that Mary believes that Jesus is Messiah. And Mary, what she did there was anoint Jesus to let him know that she believes in him. That is a really big act of faith. Most of us couldn't do such a thing because it's very hard to spend a year worth of savings, a year worth of wages, just to waste it on someone's feet. But for Jesus is worship. So let us pour out ourselves to Jesus in worship, in prayer, in declaration, and in devotions. And God bless.